Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live stream. We are live doing a question time live stream, which is basically live free support for your Unreal Engine needs and game dev questions you may have. We are live, so what we've got to do is put your questions into chat, and I'll try and grab as many as we can as we are going through the live stream. So, first of all, hello, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's doing okay. Apologies for no podcast yesterday. I was out in London at Unreal Engine meetup and in the innovation labs, so say hello to everyone if you were there. But it is time for question time. I managed to get in on this one. Let me just sort this out. We're all good. We're good. Okay. Right. Oh, so yes, start putting in the question to chat. If I do miss your question, don't fret. Just put it into chat again. I'll try and grab it the next time round. That's totally cool. Okay, so I'm going to jump into Unreal over here, and I've seen a couple of questions coming through on the chat already, so we're going to jump in. There we are. If you did want more one-to-one support, we do offer also private sessions. You can find all the details about private sessions on my website. There are coupon codes available too for January, as well as if you're a Patreon member as well. And if you want to be top tier Patreon, you get a session per month as part of your Patreon in the top tier. So if you want extra support, check out supporting the channel and getting some help with your projects. So let's begin with some of the questions I see coming through here today. Okay, Tobias, how would you make an enemy which is a pawn? This is supposed to move to the player and then attack him by adding a force to him after dashing at him. So you want the enemy to I need you to clarify this. So you want your enemy to dash towards the enemy to the player and then knock the player back. Is that what you're trying to do? Please confirm, and we can go through that in a second. Kishan is asking, how do you do the crane game claw? Ah, interesting. I doubt we'll be able to do the whole thing. Intriguing. Yeah, a couple of things would have to do with that, wouldn't they? I mean, you could, if you, I'm guessing you want to go the physics route, because you mentioned the physics handle like that. So let's have a crack at doing stuff like that one. I've got a few ideas, and if these ideas don't work, then obviously you know not to do it this way. But I say this is something I haven't done before, so this would be interesting to try to solve. But immediately going through my head, we've got physics objects with physics constraints, but we need those constraints to change over time because we need it to open up and obviously close, and be adjustable as well. Because if you don't know, claw games are rigged to let go of things or loosen. So I'd say their grip. So we'll have a crack at doing that. Okay, so as I mentioned, we need to create a arm that can be constrained with physics. We'll do a very, very rough thing. So I do it with cubes and see where we go. So let's do a hand like that. We'll part the claw. I'm going to move this one over here, like that. I'm going to duplicate that. Move that one over here. And we're going to duplicate that again. Put that. Something like that. Let's make these square. 1 second. So I'm setting that to be 100 away from the center, each one. And we'll do 4 just, I think it'd be easier to work out. Yeah, I'll just turn that around. Cool, okay. So there are our claws pincers. Now the constraint part. So the first thing I think is to focus on doing one of them, at least. So we need a constraint in there. And this constraint, you want to place at the point where it's going to hinge. So, I mean, there may be several constraints you may do in here, but we'll do this constraint there. Like that, I guess. Yeah, something like that. I mean, we could probably also do it with, I mean, you could do it with skeletal mesh, but then say you want the control over the constraint. Okay, there might be several ways to do this. I don't know. But let's try this one. So this is cube. So I'm going to constrain component name 1 here to cube. There it is. And I want to constrain its rotational. So I'm going to go down to its constraints for the angular limits. And I want it locked on the twist and locked on swing 1 by the looks of it. Yep. Okay, so we've got that sort of disc shape going on there. But I also want to put a limit on it. So on swing 2, I'm going to change it from free to limited. And we get this sort of cut-off part. There you go. And that's going to be the extent of our rotational things. So let's add in the offset here. Be that, I think. Let's say minus 30. I don't know. I don't know. Figuring it out. Yeah, so something like that, and then that can constrain between that there. We want this to be physics, obviously, so we're going to turn on physics. Like that. It's either this, you can also fake it, I guess, as well. You could do that, but I guess you want to do real physics thing. Yeah, okay. So this would, I need it to be constrained to, I don't know actually how that constrain it, because it should constrain it from that point there. So it should dangle from there. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if we can just rotate the constraint. What I'll go do then is I'll just do a timeline to make it just go open up and close. Timeline, and we'll just do a simple float track here. And we'll just do between 0 and 1. Oh, 0, 0, 1, 1. And we'll keep that there for 1 second. Oh, 2, sorry, that's going to be 2. Yeah, 2. And then this one here will go down to 3. Sorry. And that'll be 3 seconds long. And we can make that just loop like that. So on, begin play. We just do this. So my thinking is hopefully we can just rotate the constraint because it is position where it's positioned. I wonder if I can just rotate that to sort of mimic the closing action of it. That may be the start to do that. So we're going to do set relative rotation. And the constraint here, rotation, is set at 0, 0, 0. And let's say I want it to be 80 in the Y. So we'll go back to here. We're going to lerp the rotator. with this alpha, going between 0, 0, 0 and 80 in the y. Okay. Obviously, we'll make it shortest path, like that. And that should just hopefully just loop around endlessly. So what we should see, hopefully, is that claw there, that piece of claw there, opening and closing, if it works. Okay, so dangling. That's just the physics, not the rotation of the thing. Okay, so the rotation of the thing doesn't affect the swing of it. Okay. What would be the other thing you could do? So if rotation doesn't affect it, we may want to do. Oh, hold on. We may want to do angular motors. Do twist and swing. Swing. Ooh, I'm not too sure. We'll leave it at 0, 0, 0 for now. There's a tester. Because I'm not too sure. Okay, let's swing in more harshly. And then we'll increase this one to like 90 there. Does that behave differently? Yeah. Okay, cool. That's the one we want to do. Okay, so it's the target orientation we want to change. So I'm going to get rid of that. And the constraint here, we're going to set target angular orientation target. And put that in there. Okay. Should we put debug text on it so I know what the hell it is doing? Because that looks pretty rigid. Yeah. Oh, no, it's crashing. It didn't like me doing it. Yeah, I don't know what would be the best way of doing it, and it would be an experiment like what I'm doing right now. As I said, you can fake it if you want to fake it, but if you want to go for the physics route, obviously, I'm guessing you don't want to fake it. It didn't like that, did it? Let me put back at 0, 0, 0 there. Yeah, no. I don't know. I would have to experiment with it. This is a route I could possibly take. Another route would be to do as an animation with a skeletal mesh, and have it make a chance that it would just set it to ragdoll a limb or two, and it'll drop it. Maybe I'm not entirely certain. That's an experiment waiting to happen. But they're the two different routes I've got in my head of how you would do it. I could spend hours going through this, so I won't be able to do it all right now. If I do get time to make a little claw game, I'll do some videos on it. But unfortunately, I don't think I can do it right this second. So, roughly, what is the fake way? The fake way is to attach it to a physics handle, and then randomize how it drops, and then you just make a model animate loose when it drops it. Yeah, it'd be that. Okay, next question. If I do miss a question, sorry, I'm just scrolling up to see what ones I can do here. Demented Arts. I need help with creating modular behavior with components. For example, a weapon system. How do I allow for different weapons like a sniper or shotgun or projectile as I would use an enum? Like for my question, don't worry about making a weapon system. I just need help with creating some actors and logic without inheritance. Hang on. Creating modular behavior with components. For example, weapon system. How do I allow for different weapons like a sniper or shotgun or projectile? As you would use an enum. What do you mean by using an enum? What, you're using an enum to choose what weapon they've got equipped? Is that what you mean? Tobias, yes, it's basically a physics-based sphere game in which you made a tutorial a while back. I was one who requested that tutorial series, and now I'm trying to do an enemy, but he always has some bugs. So you want an enemy to dash towards you and knock you back. Okay. So, okay, we're gonna speed run an enemy AI thing. So bear with me. This will be bad code, by the way, because I'm speed running it. We're gonna go to mesh, add a many, give it a basic animation, turn it around, do that. We'll give it a basic behavior tree. I mean, what part do you want to know? The behavior tree part or the actual attack part? That'd be useful to know. Lottie, I've actually got a video about how to do buff status thing. It's like a 2-3 parter. Check it out. It goes for like UI things as well. It's all fine. Oh, I need to get. Okay. Okay, I'll come back to your one in a second. Demented Arts there. Yeah, let's get this guy doing a behavior. Yeah, let us know, Tobias, if you want to go through the whole shebang. Hopefully you've got this part down where you can make them run towards you. Just do a very simple one. Chase player. Execute AI. Move to get player character for now. Yeah, okay. Oh, you made him an actor, not a character. So you'll know how you would make him move to my player and dash. So okay, so it's not a character. So is it? If it's AI, hopefully it's a pawn because you want pawn for that. I'm guessing. I mean, I can change it. It's not a problem. Make it a pawn, and I'll add a sphere. There you go. Floating pawn movement, like so. And we'll tell this thing get AI controller, self, run behavior tree, and that one should do something similar. Yep. Okay. Let me just change the speed down a bit. Okay, so he's just gonna follow me like this. Okay, so as this thing chases me around, you want it to attack by dashing into me, and then I get knocked back. So the dash, first of all, a couple of ways you could do this. One is you can do a launch of the character towards them. It could be an animation, could be whatever you really want. If it's a physics-based thing, it could be physics, obviously. But in this case, it's not physics, it's just that. So what we can do is we've got a couple of things. We can even temporarily increase the speed of the floating pawn movement here to something really large and make it just like right straight to you. And then hit you and stop. So, for example, you could do a custom event in here, and that'd be attack, or call it dash attack. There we go. Dash attack. So if you're not doing it with any animation, which it sounds like you're not, but correct me if I'm wrong. We could experiment with changing the floating pawn movement speed. We can set the max speed of that to something a lot higher. So maybe like 3,000. Do that towards a target. So you probably want to know who you're targeting. So we have on the dash attack the intended target. Like that. That'd be an actor. And we'll promote it to verbal. Like so. So yeah, we could increase the speed like this massively until it hits the intended target. So you get a hit event. And the other is equal to intended target. True. Intended target. We'll just do print string for now. Oh, that's not right. Print string. Hit. And then set the max speed back down to, what was it, 500? Probably actually want to do that regardless, so I'll take it out there and move it to the start here. Ooh. So I want it to happen no matter what. So if it hits something, it's going to do that. Oh, I need to actually tell it to actually do it. Oops. We'll do a delay in there for like 3 seconds, and then set it to dash attack. Play a character. So this is a way. I'll show you a different way. It's probably going to glitch through the floor because it's a pawn. I haven't got any floor collision stuff going on with it. So you can do something like that, I guess. Another way you can do it as well is hang on, I'll put that back on. With the dash attack, rather than changing the speed of it, we can zip them from one point to another point. You can use a timeline for this if you wanted to. Or I mean, yeah, timeline would do. I'll show you how to do it with a timeline. So you can do it with a timeline by doing this. Add in a float track for position. And we'll say from there to there. We want 0, 0. 1, 1. So that's normalized. Normalized is a lot easier to do calculations with, so better to do it normalized. And we want it to do linear, so it doesn't have no acceleration or deceleration. It's linear growth. That'd be play from the start as well. and then we tell this thing to lerp between one location and the next. So I want to store its current location. So get actor location. Store that as a starting point. Start dash lock. And then on the update, we set actor location. Ooh. Now, all of this doesn't take into account any of the collision bits because of the way I've just roughly put this together. Obviously, when you're dealing with porn, you've got a lot more work to go into it because there's stuff in there. But honestly, you could use a character and just change the mesh to be a pawn, like a sphere or whatever. It doesn't have to be character. But yeah, so in here, we're going to do a lerp vector. That'd be the position into there. And the start dash lock will be there. And the end dash lock will be the intended target actor location. And as for how fast this thing will go, because I remember I made it 1 second long, I can drag out the component reference to it in the timeline here, set the play rate, and because the way it works, it's a play rate. So if you do it at 0.5, it's going to take 2 seconds, not half a second. So if you do divide and put 1 in the top, so if it's 1 divided by then however many seconds you want it to take. So if I put 1 divided by 0.1, so it takes 1/10 of a second to get there. Okay, it'll do that and hit me, right? And on finished, we'll do another delay and do it again. So you can see it repeating itself. Yeah, see, it's hitting me. Okay, so when it hits me, I need it to stop doing the timeline. So on the hit, ooh, why did it hit delete key? Did I break anything? No. On the hit here, we're gonna take the intended target. So if it was there, this will be, you have to be a character to do this. So cast a character, which it would be because it's a player character, and we're going to launch the character, and we're going to launch him away from where this actor is. So we get the actor location of this thing, the ball, the actor location of the target, get the direction between the two, like that. That'll give us our direction, but I want to add to it. So I'm going to add a bit of height in the Z here. I'm going to do... actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll multiply it first, then add the Z onto it. So multiply by a float. That gives us strength of the push. So say let's do 1,000. And then I'm going to add to it a Z value to keep get you up in the air. Otherwise, if you skirt along the floor, you just hit the floor and stop moving. So on the Z here, we're going to do 600 there. And that'd be the launch velocity. And we're going to override the X, Y, and Z. Okay. And then we'll probably also want to tell the timeline to stop. So timeline, stop. So it stops doing it. Like that. So let's see. It is kind of working, but I think where the collisions are a bit, it could it creates hitting it. It has to be it's basically inside of it and then causing collision problems. I guess what I want to do is make it an overlap around it, and that would trigger the hit event. So a sphere collision around it, probably like this. It's just like slightly bigger than the ball. And rather than hit event, we'll use the sphere add event. Or actually, just do actor overlap. Be fine. Begin overlap. Oh, I've done the wrong one. Oh no, I haven't. No, that's right. That's right. I'll go there. Yeah. get that launch, you see. We have to give it a bit more juice. But hopefully that gives you some ideas of where you want to go. I mean, I'm not entirely certain what direction you're going in, but you know, you could get somewhat out of there. So 2,300 in height, and yeah, like a dash, like attack like that. Boom. Okay. Give it an idea. Okay, how can you make your character invisible? Because the enemy can still see you. Good question. So what we're going to do is we're going to put my character back in there, my NPC character, and we're going to give them basic perception of sight, so I can showcase this. So perception, and give it sight. Sight. There you go. And when it's update target perception updated, we'll do that, and we'll say if this is true, we'll print string. Okay, whether we can see us or not. So just print string C player. Okay, like that. So if I walk in front of him, I'm just going to see that. Oh yeah, I've got to tell him not to chase me. Hold on. Turn off. Just make it stand still. Okay. So as I walk in front of him, C player triggers. Okay. And if you don't know, you can debug perception system by just looking at a character and hitting 4 on your number pad. You can see the detection system hitting thing there. Now, the reason why it does that is because all, I want to say pawns, but it could be characters, are automatically registered on the stimuli perception system. However, you can override that. So if I go into my player character, and let's do an input for this, say debug key I for invisible. That'd be a good one to do. I for invisible. If I press this, I want to be invisible. So we'll do Boolean is invisible, and we'll just make that toggle. So not Boolean. That into itself. And then I want to add the perception system to my character, but stimuli source. And this will override the one that's built into the thing. So this is going to be auto-registered as source. So I'm going to tick auto-register, and you're going to register it for sight, like that. But then when we press this button here, if this is true, and I'm invisible, I want to unregister from either the whole system or just a sense. And so if you're going invisible, but you want the character to still hear you, make any noises, you can just do sense and undo the sight. Alternatively, on false here, we can register for sense and choose sight on false. So, in theory, what happens is, if I hit I on my keyboard, I should be invisible to the character. See? It doesn't come up. Hit I again. You can now see me. Furthermore, if I go into the debug mode, if I hit I, I'm now invisible. You can't. Hang on. You can't see the print strings. Hang on. We do that. I invisible. There you go. And you can see the perception is not detecting me at all. Hit I again. I don't think I is working with this overlay on it. I, there we go. I don't know. There we go. It doesn't work with the overlay, but there you get the gist. So you just have to override the stimuli source like that. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out. Gives you a few ways to go about that. And as I say, you can just register from the whole system or just particular senses, which can be really cool. So let's say you install a silencer on your gun. You can just unregister the gun sound effects from the system. Hopefully that helps, Promo. Right, demented arts. Use that for choosing weapons on class when you fire, for example. Shotgun use multiple ray cars. Oh, right, demented arts. Okay, so you're just asking for like the general overview of how you set up like a weapon system, with the modular behavior stuff. So your guns would follow this rough blueprint. Okay, so you'd have I'll make a folder for it as well, so you can see how this works. So you make your blueprint class, actor, BP, weapon. And in your class here, oh, I'm missing the that bit. In your class here, you may have some functions like use weapon. Okay. Stop using weapon. Equip weapon. You know, all those ones. Like that. Then from there, you'd make a child of it. So it's all about inheritance, not necessarily components. In this case. So here you do weapon, gun. And maybe another child of that could be BP, weapon, melee. Okay? And they may have further functionality which changes how they get used. So, for example, a gun would have ammo on it, whereas a weapon for melee wouldn't. So the gun one would have ammo, and whatever else gun related would go in there, but melee wouldn't. You know, melee might be a durability on it instead. Yeah, it might have durability. I don't know, something like that. And what you're doing is you're then overriding your functions as you need them. So weapon has these base classes use weapon and stop weapon, but when you use a gun, you're shooting it. When you use a melee, you're swinging it. So in the gun here, you would override the use weapon. Yes. And if you want it to inherit the parents' stuff in there, if there's stuff in there that's valuable, you can keep this plugged in. If not, take it off and delete it even if you want. And then the use weapon here could do the whole firing of the gun animation and ray cast, line cast, firing projectiles, whatever it needs to do. You're better off doing it that way if you've got certain classes of weapons. Okay, so let's say we've got a shotgun type of class, you've got an RPG, a pistol, and so on. But let's say in that one you have variations of pistols. Maybe you've got like 5 different types of pistol, and they vary slightly in their design. You can either use a data asset or data table to sort of manage their basic properties, or just make children more siblings and children. For weapons, it's better to do it like that, because weapons would vary greatly in how they are being used, and they have functionality on them. Component-wise, you're not necessarily going to have loads of components for weapons. Okay, it'd be pretty basic, but your main player character may have a weapon system or equipment system that may be managing what weapon gets equipped at any time. Yeah, so there's only really that really. Let me know if there's anything else there that you need more direction on, but that's kind of where you should be looking. Next question. Let me have a look here. No, Lottie, it was a standalone buff system thing. If you just search for buffs in my channel, you should see it. It's only like 2-3 parts long. It's not long at all. You also keep getting the memory pressure warning. Is there anything I could do about that? A memory pressure? Do you mean video memory? Running up video memory? Let me have a look if that's what you're thinking of. That. Yeah, we could do Mistrada. The problem is if we were just booting up projects all the time, you just see me loading projects up and from that. Yeah. I've never heard of pressure being part of the warning. Whereabouts does it say it? Now, video memory is quite a common one, but I'm not sure what I mean by. I've never seen pressure come up. Bottom right, a little. Oh, I don't know. I have no idea, unfortunately, Kishan. I've never seen that warning ever pop up. I don't even know what. I can't even like educationally guess what it would mean by pressure. Memory pressure warning. Oh, yeah, so it's just VRAM. Okay. So you can give your you need more RAM in your in your graphics card essentially, like VRAM. If you've got a kind of weak graphics card, that could be a problem. If you do have more VRAM, that should be fine. There are ways you can get around it. You can tell because Unreal only it sets aside a small amount of VRAM, but that kind of warning that you're seeing in the bottom corner could be something a bit different than what I'm thinking of. Oh, yeah, you shouldn't have a problem at all with a 4090. That's curious. Yeah, you have to show it to me in a one-to-one. That's a weird one. That's right. So I saw someone saying something a map system. Where was it? Oh yeah, GL Records. Would you consider making a map system like Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, or Metroidvania, where areas that are not visited yet are darker once a map is picked up? That's relatively simple enough to do. If not a bit long-winded. So, essentially, when you're walking around, I mean, we could do a basic example here. You'd make your basic rooms, right? So let's say it's 4 quadrants, 4 rooms. You'd have to design a room. Let me delete that. By creating a blueprint class, and you'd name the room like BP room details, for example, whatever it may be. And this would be most likely like a box collision of some kind, but you can add other collisions to it if you wanted to. You can even do custom ones, but a box collision at least like that. Okay. And what's important about this is that we take the room and we assign it to the UI when we're doing it. So maybe this room has a name to it. So name, and that'd be a text value like that. And when we enter it, I may want to tell a central system, that I've entered a new room. Okay. So for example, let's go and do it in the player controller. So in the controller here, we'll make a function, enter room. And in there, we want to know what room we're entering. So BP room. And over on the room details, when act begin overlap is equal to the player character. Like so. We get the player controller cast to that particular controller and enter room as a function there. And I'm putting a centralized spot because I'm going to need my widget to bind itself to something, and I don't want to go to every single room and bind to every single room. That's very long-winded. I'm going to save myself some time. You totally could do it that way, but it's not really friendly to you or your other developers. So you put in a central location, like a singular place, like a player controller. And when we enter the room, we want to get the room's name, like this. And I'm going to event dispatch it. So we go in here on room entered. And we call that. And I want to know what room I'm entering, so we'll just put that as an input on here. Room name. Like that. Okay. And there'll be like other widgets and things you can do there too. But then in the map widget, you'd have two parts to it. You'll have the map. And you'll have the room for the map. So, a widget, map, room. And, I mean, and the room can be customized with custom graphics, things like that, but I'm just going to do a square. And we'll just wrap that with a size box for now. I'm not going to piss about with it. But you can literally make it any image you like to get the right shape. But those a lot of those games keep it quite simple anyway. So let's say we do 100 by 100 for that shape there. So it kind of looks something like this. Okay. And we'll make it black or something like that. We'll put an outline around it too, I guess. We'll change from image to we'll do a rounded box. Outline settings, we'll change it to a fixed radius of 0, 0, 0. Outline here, we'll just whack up to 1. And change that to white. Change the width here to 3. There you go, one room. Okay, so this room would have a binding to a particular name. So this would be room name. Okay. Text there. And my player controller will keep record of what rooms I've already entered, which ones I haven't entered. So you may have a variable in here is rooms entered, for example. And that'd be an array of those rooms. Okay, so you take the array, add unique. We don't want to add more than one of the same one. And we'll put that name in there. Back on our map room, this thing will look at whether the player controller already has the room name in there. So get the player controller, cast to your third person controller. Get visited. No, what have I done? Rooms. What have I called it? Rooms entered. There you go. Get rooms entered. And we say if it contains this room name, we'll set the opacity differently. So set render opacity select. If it's true and it's in there, we'll make it 1. If it's not, we'll make it 0.5. Okay? Whatever it needs to be. But also, after that, we also need to bind to when we see a room. So bind on room entered. Custom event, room entered. And we just check to see if this is equal to the room name that's in here. Oh, it has to be equal exactly. If that's true, we set the render opacity to 1. Okay, we don't do false because obviously you may enter other rooms, but something like that would do. Okay, and then we go into our map. And on our map here, I'll make this part of the general HUD just for simplicity's sakes. So we're doing like an overlay. And we'll do a grid panel. And then I'll put the map room inside the grid panel. So we're going to do 4. We're going to move one there. Move that one there. Move that one. Like that. And if you want it to be, you can also make it so it takes up 2 like rows like that. If you want, you can do whatever you like. But yeah, let's say it's like this first of all. Okay. And the grid panel will just add some padding to it like that. Okay, so it's in the corner of the screen, our map, so to speak, like this. We'll just add that to our game. Oh, but before we do that, the room needs to be editable. And on the map here, we have to enter what room they're going to be. So we'll just put in 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And we'll just place those into our scene. So room details. And what's really handy about the room details thing is that you can also use this for the camera stuff if you've got camera being changed around and things. That'll totally be fine for that too. I forgot to make that editable. There you go. So this will be room 1. I'm going to take this one out here. This will be room 2. Obviously, you call them whatever the hell you like. Don't really matter. Main thing, as long as it matches up with what's in the thing. And if you wanted to, you can use data assets if you want to keep it a bit more easily confined like that. And then I'm to add it to my character. So let's go to my third-person controller. And let's go to begin play over here. And I'll just do it over here. Create widget. Choose the map. And add to viewport. Okay. So there's our map. And what we should hopefully see is it added into rooms light up. Yeah. Like that. And you can even do things like keeping track of which room the player currently is in, because you're storing it on the player controller. So you can just say, if your player controller is set into the same room name as what you're currently in, make it flash. You know, you can do interesting things like that if you want to. Yeah. Shane Austin, how do you replace casting from player blueprint to multiple blueprints, including widgets? Is it APIs or really no way to do so? You can use interfaces. There are pros and cons to each, and so on. Casting is mostly when you're trying to convert a parent reference down to its child reference. So casting is really useful for doing that. The thing that people will say to you is like, don't do casting. It's not that expensive, especially if you're casting to things that are already in memory. So it's only expensive if you're casting to things that may or may not exist in the world. So if you're casting to things like the player controller, the game mode, basically free. It's not going to cost you anything because it is really loaded up in the engine. It's really loaded up in the game, so it's not a big problem. But yeah, you can use interfaces to get around it if you wanted to. But ultimately, you're doing the same thing. You're just getting a thing and just converting the reference down to its child version. So, yeah, it's a little bit more annoying. But casting's fine as long as it's you use it correctly. Yeah. But the best thing to try and do is try to think about ways of making it as referential as possible. So things reference other things all the time via events, collisions, overlaps, things like that. How can we fake God rays with Niagara? Okay. So, if you don't know what God rays are beams of light that come through things. And the old style of games, because we didn't have real-time lighting and things like that, all you did was you made a material that faked it. So you may have something like, you can use a cosine wave and invert it if you wanted to, and plug that into the emissive and the opacity. And this can be just 1. No, that should be not 1, 0 then. Nope. Not cosine then. What am I thinking of? I want... okay, we just do gradient. Oh, yeah, linear gradient. Or you can also do with texture UV coordinates. You can multiply, not multiply, mask, and we'll just get the R channel, and I want to combine these two together. So I want to get that one, and I want to invert it. So take this one minus. So you've got those two together. You can then add them together or multiply them together. You multiply like this. And then you've got to multiply it by 4. And you'll get back up to the sort of strength you're looking at type thing. And then, obviously you can use a texture if you like. You can use whatever the hell you want, really. So, we'll do a radial gradient. And we'll do coordinates, UVs into there. Center position is going to be 0.5 in the X and 1 in the Y. That'd be like center at the bottom. Radius here will be 0.5. Density, I think we can leave alone. It'll be fine. Should be fine there. But that should be looking like that. Okay. We're going to multiply these two together. Multiply. Actually, probably need to multiply them before I do that. So multiply that by that. Take that out. Not multiply, sorry, add. Sorry, my bad. Add that to that. And you get that sort of like beam looking thing. I mean, that's a way. And then we multiply that again, probably here by 0.25, maybe. Bring it down a bit. Yeah. Put into opacity. Then translucency. Oh, too little. 0.5? Maybe. We need to multiply this as well. By 0.5. 0.25? I don't know, something like that. Whatever you want to do for the design of what it's going to look like. But essentially all it was a material on a plane. And you can billboard it, or you can have like intersecting planes. That's all it was. And when you're doing a Niagara system, you're just spawning those shapes out. So plane, and we give it that material like that, and it's stretched. All right. And you may have 2 of them. Like, so a lot of games done this like crisscross pattern where you can criss them. I should make it 2-sided, really. One sec. 2-sided. Okay, you can get like fake god rays looking things. Yeah. And an Niagara system would be just spawning these things in as they are. So use this as a sort of guide. So 7.5 roughly like that. And then we can make a Niagara system do that. Either 3-dimensionally or with planes of like particles. That's totally fine as well. So we're doing add minimal. That'd be fine. Sprite render. We're going to use our material that we've got. Like that. Spawn rate on here. Spawn rate of I don't know, 1, 3, whatever. We'll just do 1. We'll change that to 1 for now as well, just so we can see it working. And we're going to change the sprite size to be non-uniform. Okay, so I want it to be a lot higher in the Y axis. So about 7.5 times it. So we'll do like 80. Okay, like that. We want it to be rotated as well. So we can do sprite rotation. And we can do direct angle. And I want that to be, let's say, 230. Like that. 40? No, 200. Yeah, you know, something like this. And because it's a particle, it'll always face the screen, so it's pretty nice. And then we must maybe spawn a few others in there. So we're going to do, on particle spawn here, we'll add a shape location. And we'll do the spawning of it on a plane. And I'll do a spawn rate. I'll increase that to like 4. Like this. Okay. The shape location plane would be sort of like that. Obviously, you probably want to fade it in and fade it out, things like that. If you want to do anything like that, you need to make sure you've got the particle color node in your material. So we multiply that by the color. There, we multiply the alpha by it as well for the opacity. And then on an icon system, you can reference those in here too. So on particle update, we can go into here, go into the color node, and we can put this on a curve. Color from curve. And we'll put that one in the middle. Put an opacity here of 0. So they fade in and fade out like this. Okay. And I just change how long they last for. So I can change this to like 10 seconds maybe. Like that. And if I want to mask the whole entire thing off as well, I can take this texture coordinate node and mask the other axis out of it. So the G, like that, and then multiply that by these as well. Because then I'll get a nice soft ending to it as well, which is nice. So I'll go back to my thing. You get God rays. Yep. And if I want to, I can sprite size here. It's non-uniform, but I can also randomize the non-uniform a little bit too. Bear in mind that this could cause some issues because of... Actually, no. What we'd do is do it like this, 10 by 80. Then on spawn, we scale... Not scale. Sprite... Or maybe not. Maybe particle update. Sprite size, I guess. Scale sprite size, we'll just change that to be a consistent thing. Because at the moment it's just going to do that. So if I change... I don't know, actually. Uniform. We can random, I guess that. Random between 0.5 and 2. We should see a variety of different types coming in here. Like that. The only thing that we have to be aware of, though, is the offset coming in from the size difference. Which we could mess about with the positioning a bit more too, but it gets the general gist of it, you see what I mean? And you can then plug that into your scene. Granted, I should have made it a bit bigger, but yeah, the gist of it. You know, if I wanted to make it bigger, easier, I'd make this local space. And then when I scale this thing up, like this, it should, if I compile it. No, okay, fine. We'll go to scale sprite size, or initialize particle here. We'll change that to 100 and that one to 800. Okay, as I walk through, you get your rays of light coming through. If you want them to be fixed in rotation, so don't always face the camera, you can totally do that too. You just lock the positioning down. But give you an idea of where to go. Kishan, why are active tags name variable? How can I use the gameplay tag structure instead where I can click on the tag I want? You have to add your own tag container to your actors. It's not built into the actors. So in your actors, just make a variable, make it editable, and your tag containers like that. And then make an interface to handle the communication to everything. G1X, hi. I want to make a player clean the floor. How to make it let him like use a broom to clean the floor or a water gun? Ideally, you want to get hold of a plugin that lets you do vertex coloring, like in runtime, because that's essentially what you can do. But in the bulk standard Unreal that you get, you can't do it in runtime. You can do it outside of runtime. That's not a problem. But yeah, in the editor, but in that game you can't. But you have vertex coloring, and what you're doing is you're just painting it red, green, or blue based upon whatever it is, and it will clear it or wipe it away when you set it back to black. That's it, really. That's how things like Power Wash Simulator work, things like that. But you need a plugin. There are loads on the marketplace you can probably find. Currently, there's no way to do it in editor. We're going to start rounding up, I think, because I've got to jump into a session with someone in a second. But let's answer a couple of other quick ones if we can. LittleSlayer.o, is there a way to add cinematic sequence to a co-op multiplayer game with players' custom character design? Yes. If you go, I've done a video on this. Not exactly co-op, but it's the same. It's exactly the same. It's hang on, let me see if I can find the video. No, YouTube. Let's go to the channel. Videos. So if you go in here and search for sequencer, maybe this one, smooth transition from cutscene to gameplay. That is what you want to follow. Do that and you'll be good. Okay. Cool. Well, I think that brings us to an end. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions tonight. It's been good fun. I'm really intrigued to see if I can do the claw game thing now. It sounds like a good challenge. Speaking of challenges, if you are a Patreon member, did you know you can sign up and get support, but also take part in our weekly challenges? So if you feel like you want something to keep you on the guardrails and keep you sort of focused on a small task, then sign up. It's great fun to do the challenges, get feedback in the Discord as well, from myself and others that are doing it. And they come in a variety of different shapes and sizes. So last week we were doing one with blueprinting. This week it's all about refactoring and cleaning up your code. And there'll be different theme type things each week. So if you want to support the channel and get some support with your own projects, head over to patreon.com/Ryan Laley to get your support there for your projects. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time tonight. We'll be back again with Bill on Tuesday for another podcast. So make sure you tune in for the podcast. It's good fun, place to wind down. I look forward to it because I get to hang out with my mate and just chat absolute nonsense. So it's good fun. But yes, do make sure you do check that out. And we'll be back again next Wednesday. Oh no, I won't be here next Tuesday for podcast because I'll be in London at Pocket Gamer Connects. I'll see if Bill can do it another night. We'll see if we can do. It'll be 2 weeks in a row. That kind of poo. But I'll be at Pocket Gamer. I'll try and live stream something from Pocket Gamer if I can. But yeah, take care, everyone. Have a good night, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye bye.